Hey, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Jen, and this is the Megaphone podcast.
And this is the last in our series
Part 5
of Maximize Your Me Time.
I'm going to miss it.
Minimize Your Guilt. Me too. But we have a bunch of other great podcasts coming up.
Sure.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But what else we are going to have to look forward to is now putting into practice the things that we've learned.
Yay.
Steps 1 through 4 have led us to this very point of permission to express your gratitude because someone made your me time possible and they need to be thanked for it.
I just have the Brian McKnight song stuck in my head, the repeat steps 1 through 3.
Make you fall in love with me. If ever I believe my work is done, then I'll start back at 1. Nailed it. Wow. We did that just now. That happened.
It's like go back and repeat steps
1 through 3.
Yeah. And then 4 and then 5.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Yes. That is what we're going to do.
They go in order for a reason. We're going to tell you about that.
We're going to Brian McKnight it.
That's right.
That's what we're going to do.
Okay, here's what I can bring to the podcast. You ready? Here's your outline for today's conversation.
Oh.
We're going to start with why we're going to talk about expressing your gratitude. Attitude of gratitude.
Yep.
Why is that important? Why are we starting here? Why are we ending there? I don't know. We're going to tell you why. Then we're going to bookend with another why of like why it's important. Okay. But then in between there, we're going to do the who, what, where, when, how. In between both of the whys. It's going to be great.
I am so excited for it.
Wow. So first, it's why are we talking about gratitude as part 5 of this 5-part series?
Right? Are you kidding me? The importance of maximizing your me time. You've had to learn steps 1 through 4 to get to 5. Because if you barge back in to your life after your me time that you have sorely wasted and feel completely guilty for and just are frazzled and you're a mess
and you feel worse.
You feel worse and you rush back in the door like, I'm so sorry. I mean, oh, no problem. How was your time? It was terrible.
Yeah, I feel worse and run down. I ruined all of my me time and now I feel guilty for ruining it. I did terrible. Can we start over? They're like, no,
I gave you an hour.
Yeah. And now I don't feel like I gave you a gift. I gave you my time and you wasted it.
Right. That's a double waste. You don't want to double dip that.
No.
You can double dip a chip before you double dip that.
But what if you did it right?
And
how would you show up back in your life?
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for this time. I can't even tell you how amazing it was for me. I laid on that massage table and I was so relaxed and I was able to filter some thoughts and that she got the kink out of my neck and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, so what I gave to you was actually a gift?
Oh, a huge gift.
Oh, I feel good now.
I feel good too.
End scene.
Ta-da! Again, we did it without rehearsal.
It's so true though.
Right?
Like how I feel as the person who's watching the kids for the 1-hour massage or fill in the blank, the spouse, the neighbor, the coworker, the friend, the family member. Like whenever you give of your time to give someone else me time, it's like put yourself in that person's shoes. How does it feel in both scenarios? Like, ew, I don't really want to help you again then if you're just going to waste the time that I gave you.
Right. Yes.
Or like, man, I can't wait to do that again because that was helpful to you. Now I feel like I'm helpful to you and let's repeat the cycle.
Right.
Like,
repeat steps 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. But yes. Now I derailed. I have no thoughts besides Brian McKnight. I feel like he's like kind of swaying, kind of moving, like a little grooving.
Yeah.
Like the hips sway.
So that's why it's important. And this is why it's in the order that it is.
That's right.
You have to maximize and not feel guilty so that you can show up grateful and not apologetically and frazzled and shameful. Ew.
Yes. And it's just, and that's part of, I think, being a woman is we over apologize.
Yeah.
And there is just such a difference on being on the other end of like, I'm so sorry I'm late versus thanks so much for waiting for me.
Yeah.
Like just those two things.
Yes.
Jen.
I'm laughing because a while ago you shared a realization that I think was shared to you where you're like, I just came across this thing that was like, stop apologizing and start thanking. Like,
Yes.
replace your I'm sorry with thank you for
Right.
fill in the blanks. I'm like, that's exactly what that is in a
Mhm.
real life example of like, I'm so sorry that I'm 5 minutes late. To be like, thank you for waiting an extra 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're welcome. No
Oh,
problem.
no problem.
So
It just sets the
sometimes,
tone.
yes.
Right. And that's not how you want to set the tone in your relationships, especially the relationships that are hero relationships for you, that
Yes.
show up for you when you need it.
So that segues perfectly into the who. So, like, if we're talking about you have permission to express gratitude, okay, great. Where do I start? Like, who am I going to be grateful for to show my appreciation for?
Mhm.
It's the people who made your me time possible.
That's
Okay.
right. It's the list that we already gave
Yes.
you. And then we can add to that list. You can also thank yourself.
Yes.
And you can thank God for whatever
Yes.
work that He did within you during that time and space.
Yes.
And for all the relationships that have also created this.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's the power of naming it. I think, especially when you're thanking yourself, like, which we don't do very
Mm-mm.
often at all. Like, we don't
No.
even think about that.
No.
But like,
I didn't know that was an option.
I know, exactly. But how powerful to go, wow, me? I don't know how you would phrase it because I've never done it before, but I'm going to do it now. But like,
Ooh.
just start naming, like, this, I appreciate this time away because look what we did together. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for this. And thank you for this. Like, thank you for saying no to the guilt. Thank you for using that me time mantra about 47 times till that pesky
Yes.
guilt, like, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, like thanking yourself, but naming the specific ways that is a
Ooh.
big deal in your own mind. So then that could really help you maximize your gratitude as well for the other
Oh.
person to go, man, on my drive back, I was just so overwhelmed with gratitude that like not only did I take this time, but like you gave it
You
to
made
me.
it possible.
And here's what I like. Here are some of the thoughts. Like, I can't believe I realized I was thinking this. I came up with this problem that I
Yeah.
had and came up with a solution because my
Right.
mind was clear. Like,
Yeah.
da 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 da. Like, start listing like very specific details about why this actually made a difference. But that
I
starts with just naming that and starting maybe with yourself.
This is a new maybe thought, but I love that idea of your gratitude being an add-on to the me time mantra. So what would it look
Mm.
like if my me time mantra right now is this me time is necessary so I will not feel guilty and I will be thankful to Jacob for watching the kids, to me for making this a priority and sticking to it and not feeling guilty, to God for making this whole scenario possible and for convicting me to take this time and to help me use it wisely. Like, all of a sudden it can turn into a prayer of thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
I love that as an add-on. Like, you say your me time mantra, and then what little like bonus of gratitude could you tag on to
Right.
there?
Yeah. And even if it's just, and I will be thankful for it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm going to be thankful for this.
I love that. It just sets
Yeah.
the tone
Yeah.
of I'm using this wisely and I'm not going to take it for granted.
Right. Yes.
That's the who.
I
So
love
then
it.
the what is being thankful, is having this grateful heart and expressing your gratitude. And one of the ways you can practically go through this and start to envision it in your own life is in the workbook. So what? There's another page? Yes. Ends it with a bang, basically walks you through everything and then gives you space at the end to write out some actual thank yous.
Yeah.
And this is huge for me to be forced to stop and to actually think and process and write.
Yeah.
So writing out, I even threw on like daycare and babysitters, like, man, you make date night possible, which is us time. And
Mhm.
that's important too. So just a
Yeah.
helpful exercise to actually think through your list and like, what would you say to them? And then maybe you should actually say those things to them.
Yeah. And especially when you've practiced it, like it feels less, I don't know why thanking people feels very vulnerable.
It does. It feels like a compliment. It's
Yeah.
it's hard for me to give compliments.
It's so easy for me to give compliments.
But
But
I'm
there's
not gonna be like, I know, right?
no, but there's a vulnerability when I thank people. Like,
Yeah.
here's a real example for you. I cannot thank a serviceman or woman in uniform. Like I always like my first impulse when you see them in uniform, they're walking through the mall or they're,
Yeah.
wherever you see them. I just want to go up and say thank you
Thank
for
you
your service. But I sometimes don't because I get so emotional that I am like, then I feel exposed. And I'm like, there's so many wrong things
Right.
about that, but to walk up, but I've never walked up to a serviceman or woman to say thank you without leaving already in tears.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
it evokes that emotion in me
Yes.
that keeps me from like
Well, I
ever
just better
saying
not
it all the
thank
time.
them.
I just better like think of it in my mind and move on.
Don't engage. Look away.
Yes.
And they're like, what a jerk.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to serve for
Hello.
our country. You're
Right.
welcome.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'm thinking it in my head. I'm just trying not to cry because I'll feel
Right,
horrible.
because I'll feel weird. Like,
Yeah.
what? Get over yourself. It's
Yeah.
not like the more you think, I mean, it's just selfishness.
And-
The more you think about your own comfort and not being vulnerable, the more you're making it about you and not about the other person.
Right.
It's just the opposite of expressing your gratitude.
Yeah. And sometimes it's kind of like, well, I paid the babysitter and I said thank you at the end. Like, isn't that
Yes.
enough? It's like, well, what if she had canceled? Would you have had to cancel? Yeah. Look at all the good that came from this night. Like, so none of that would have happened. You think maybe
Right.
a really heartfelt, like, hey, like a positive review on a babysitting app, or like telling the person, like, hey, thank you so much. This is what this means to us. Like a more detailed, specific thank you
Yeah.
goes a long way.
Yes. Well, and I would add to that too, like the thank early, thank often, thank all the
Mhm.
time. And maybe we're getting that.
Yeah,
is
you're
that
good.
but we're skipping ahead on the W's.
No.
But I have, especially when you're talking about babysitters. So
Mhm.
like the babysitter, like you pay them, say thank you. I have also added, oh my gosh, we had the best night.
Yeah.
We needed this so much. Da, da. Like they're teenagers. They're not gonna maybe understand the
Right.
depth, but like to be on the other end of the money and some
Yeah.
gratitude.
Yes.
And then I also text the next day and just say another thank you.
Yeah.
Especially when they have cleaned up the playroom or if there's no
Mhm.
dishes in the sink or they've done something extra
Yes.
that I'm like, anything you do extra, I love. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is then another tag to go. Also, I noticed this
Mhm.
and thank you
So
for
appreciate
this.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You did not have to do that. You went above and beyond, and I see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm free next Saturday.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah. Compared to the person who's like, here's your money. Bye. You got a ride, right? See ya. Slam
Yeah.
the door.
Right.
Not even a thank you. It's like, I just watched like your children, like your bundles of joy.
I kept them alive and you're welcome.
Yes. Prized possession. You would die for these beings.
Right.
And I gotta. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
You did your job. Get out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So who, what, next is where. So this is a little bit of a stretch, but we were thinking of the format of like where it could be in person, it could be electronically, it could be a handwritten note, it could be a hug, it could be a gesture, a gift, like it can look like a lot of different things. And we're going to put that under the where category. Like, where can you express gratitude? Well, through lots of different ways.
Yeah. And or all of them.
Yes.
I mean, not to be excessive, but
yes.
if you want more me time, which we'll get to, like that is huge in solidifying your relationships by just showing up a million different ways to say thank you and not authentically.
Yeah.
But like, man, I'm so appreciative that I'm going to tell you when I get home, I'm going to tell you the next morning when we wake up, and then I'm going to leave you a little love note in your lunch on the way out the door or whatever,
or
just thank you.
Dog sitters, like, oh, we're going to take them out to dinner or give them a gift card, like something to show like, hey,
extra.
We really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
So the when is, it sounds really simple, but as I was thinking through this, I'm like, ideally pretty soon after your me time, because you don't want to let it go 6 months and be like, hey, remember that one time you helped me out? Thank you.
Thanks.
Like, oh, is this a, never mind. Let's say, are you part of AA and you have to like go back and like write the letters
to make your relationships right?
Yes. I'm a part of this program and this is step 2,
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, a heartfelt thank you is pretty timely. so that they don't forget and you still are riding on the momentum of your gratitude and can freely express that. Just the when is,
Yeah.
and like you said, early and often,
Early
right?
and often, timely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and over exaggerated. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, all the details. Like you're a
Yes.
detail person.
Yes.
But like to as your when is as it's as important to me,
Yeah.
so timely as it is to be so genuinely detailed,
Specific.
specific,
Totally. Details
naming it.
go a
So the
long
other
way.
person does feel like, oh, this mattered.
Yeah. I feel thanked.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. I
Okay,
love
so
it.
then the how, we're going to jump to the how before we bookend there at the end with the why.
Mhm.
So the how is to find the opportunity with little to no distractions. So we were talking about attention and how that's a big deal.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, like I'm thinking specifically my husband, like it's hard to get his attention anyway,
Oh
between like
yeah.
he's working at home and then he's working on projects and then he's on his phone and then it's this, you know.
Or
So
in
I'm
the
like,
middle of a TV show, it's like,
right.
hey, thank you for that.
Uh,
What'd you say?
said thanks. Okay. I'm right. I'm going to bed. Okay.
You too.
Yeah. Huh?
What? Did you hear me?
Yes. But just to say, I need your full attention.
Yeah.
What I'm about to say is important, which
Mhm.
already up levels your gratitude game.
Yes.
Make sure like this is so important. I don't want you to miss this.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes. And then we already covered this, but the next one is to identify what you're specifically grateful for. So you're like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know how to give a vulnerable, detailed account for everything I'm thankful for. It's like, well, think through it. Like, go through the workbook, maybe write it out first, or maybe that handwritten note would be the best option for you, or even a long text, like
Yeah.
it can look however it needs to look. But in order to be specific, like, think through all the things that they made possible in your me time that you maximized and that you don't feel guilty for.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes. We said clearly, authentically, and vulnerably express your heartfelt thank you. So it's just communication.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it is this vulnerability of
Yeah.
thank you, which feels very exposed. And I don't understand why that is. Maybe there's a psychology to it. Maybe I'll research it and get back to you.
I feel like a root could be that we're exposing what's important to us. So we're having to share something that's kind of private to us, maybe.
Yeah.
We don't want to admit that we need help, maybe.
Oh,
sometimes.
maybe it's a pride thing.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's good.
I
That
think
makes
that
sense.
could be some of the roots of like, or if it's emotional to you, like your service example, it's like you don't want to show emotion and how much their service means to you because you don't want them to be weirded out. And you're like,
Right.
well, but this is how I truly feel. So it's like you're missing the opportunity by withholding, It's like,
Yes.
so just my fear of feeling like a weirdo to you and you're never going to see me again. I'm gonna rob you of the chance to actually feel grateful. What if he started crying or
Right.
she was like, no one ever thanks me and I'm so appreciative. And it could have turned into this beautiful moment. I'm not trying to pick on
totally.
you. I'm just saying
Ah,
it's like
it's as if God sent you to listen to the nudge to say
Yes.
thank you. And they're like, no, because that would be weird.
what if I cry? What if they
So-
cry and hug you?
Right.
And it's
And
this
what if
little
you
moment?
cry? You cry all the time.
Well,
You're
like-
trained for this.
you could never see them again. It's like, I
Right.
don't care what
Who
you
cares?
think.
Right.
God's opinion is the only one that matters.
Yeah. Yep. But
I
now
love
back
to quote back to her. It's good.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, it's nice.
remember when you said, like, oh, taste your own medicine?
How's it feel?
Choke it down. Spoonful
I
of
mean,
sugar.
it's good. I received that.
Yes. Thank yous are vulnerable because you're showing what's important to you. And
Yeah.
that feels like,
That's bad. Yeah.
I'm just stuck on the whole what other people think because I'm thinking about a babysitter and being like, this date night was so needed. Oh, are there troubles in paradise? It's like, I don't want them to think, okay, we didn't need it that
They have
bad.
to go home and tell their mom and dad. I think something's going on with the McBurns.
She thanked me for like 5 minutes. I don't think they ever get out.
Okay, maybe we'll just put a whole disclaimer on it. Don't be weird. Just be regular gratitude.
But also, don't worry about what other people think.
Who cares?
Lean into the gratitude.
Yes.
There are worse things they could complain of. Oh, she was so grateful.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah.
Anything else?
Some weird,
wrong?
yeah, he goes back to the barracks. Do I know
Ooh,
nothing about
wow, the
army
base.
life? Base and goes,
Yeah.
some crazy lady thanked me in the mall.
Wow, I wish that was me.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
There are worse things, especially in battle on the front lines.
That's
You think that's the scariest thing he's gonna come across? How about
a crazy emotional lady who says
no.
thank you?
I'm gonna stop. Okay.
Yes.
Flee in the how is tell your people what they need to hear so that they know that every moment of their time was worth every moment of yours.
Oh, that's good.
right.
Yes.
It is like I'm giving you my time to have your time. We kind of already talked about that, but I'm like, make my time worth it by making your time worth it.
Right. Yes.
So that I want to do this again.
Exactly.
Leads us up to our next point, which is the final why. Okay. Our last bookend of why. Why this is important.
Is this me?
This is you.
Jen keeps us on track.
There are 3 things she says, and I wrote them down as a direct quote.
Oh, I wrote them down too.
Oh, good.
Okay, look at me. Ahead of the game.
Jen writes it down. So does Lisa.
Uh-huh. That's right. I'm put together. Listen.
I know what I already said.
Mhm. I usually don't.
I'll read some into her. She's like, that's really good. I'm like, yeah, you wrote that. It is really good. Thank you. It's the Holy Spirit.
It's the Holy Spirit. We co-write together.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay. So having this attitude of gratitude will help solidify your relationships.
Yes.
It just sets another layer and another foundation to solidify your relationships, to make meaningful moments between two people.
Love well. They're loving you. You love them back.
Right. Yes. Number 2, create more opportunities for you to have me time. It's a cycle. Like I want to be your hero again. If I got to be your hero the first time,
Yeah.
and you knocked your me time out of the park and I had an okay time with whatever, and you came back overly expressively thankful, I'm like, oh, do you need next month? Should we do this once a month? Let's do this again because it feels good to me and it feels good to you.
Okay, I have a real-time scenario.
Hit me with it.
We have the best dog sitting situation right now. I'm like trying to pinch myself because I'm like, is this real? Can this keep happening? So very simply, we go out of town, family friends, they watch our dog with their dog. The 2 dogs play, tire each other out. They're so cute, little besties. Then when they go out of town, they just did this. They just went to Florida and we watched their dog for a week. And I'm like, this is great. And they were overly thankful that I'm like, oh my gosh, of course we're going to do this again. The dog was great. Our dogs got along. It was easy. It was like, you're feeding one, might as well feed 2. You know,
absolutely.
So it's like, yeah, but their gratitude, had they been like, thanks, bye, taking the dog, I probably would have been a little bit like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Now I don't even trust you with my dog.
That's right. So forget the whole thing. So I'm like, no, feeling like, man, you made this vacation possible, even though you didn't, but you know what I mean? You contributed.
Yes.
And this was peace of mind to know that our dog was happy. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good situation.
Cycle.
Repeat.
Cycle continues. Yes. Create more opportunity. And then this is, I think one of my favorite points is that this adds another layer of protection against the guilt. If we are so grateful and we are actively either internally or externally or both expressing this gratitude, where's guilt gonna sneak in there? It doesn't even have any space because you're so grateful.
It's hard to be negative when you're
being positive. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. They can't exist.
Yes.
Like the magnets are
pushing against.
Yes, exactly.
Totally.
So yeah, that's my other favorite thing, that this just an overwhelming all the time attitude of gratitude is probably a good thing to take with you every day, no matter what, if you're in your me time or not, which is easier said than done. But then it just leaves less room for guilt to come in and play.
It's a good way of living.
Yeah,
for sure.
We recommend it.
Yes. So many benefits. I'm like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
What the heck? And they say a thankful heart is a happy heart.
That's right.
And the Bible says it's good to be grateful. I think God desires that because of everything we just named. He wants us to have this attitude of gratitude and a grateful heart. And we've heard the Bible verses that say things like give thanks in all circumstances and give thanks to the Lord. So I'm like, it's over and over and over again. So I'm like, no, it's there in the Bible.
It's there.
That's his desire for us.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's our desire for you too.
Yes.
Because look at all the good things that come from it.
I know. So good. So today you have permission to have an attitude of gratitude. And
Oh,
woo-hoo, you have permission to join us at the live Maximize Your Me Time, Minimize Your Guilt workshop. It's live in person with our faces. I like to hug,
and
other
faces too.
and other not just us. It's very little to do with us. More about inviting you into an experience where you can put your money where your mouth is, practice what you preach, and apply what you've learned through this podcast series. If you've downloaded the workbook, great. We're going to do some deeper dives into the content, but mainly the goal is to give you the space to learn more about maximizing your me time, but then actually maximize it in the moment. So good.
I'm pumped.
I'm so excited for it. And I'm so excited to see your face and hug your neck, as they say. Hug your neck. But you can find all the details online at lisacraft.com. It's coming up on Saturday, May 15th. And have you done enough to earn it? Blah, 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 blah. Yes.
Yes, you have.
Repeat steps 1 through 3, 4, 5. Brian McKnight, that bad boy.
Yeah.
And we're going to see you. Not Brian McKnight.
No.
Unless, well, we'll put him down as a maybe. He hasn't visited the website yet.
No.
Also, this is for women only.
Yes.
But maximize your me time, minimize your guilt any old way you can.
Yes.
And we'll see ya.